My wife left me because I couldn't afford her dreams. I was standing at the factory gate when the lawyer called. 6 in the morning, first shift at Riverside Steel. The air smelled like burnt metal and river fog. I had divorce papers in one hand, phone in the other, and my work gloves tucked under my arm, the same gloves I'd worn thin over 8 years of honest labor. Mr. Reed, this is Dorothy Klein from Klein & Associates. I'm calling about your Uncle Theodore's estate. Uncle Theo? I hadn't heard that name in 20 years. The man who left our family when I was 14, chasing some dream he never talked about. My father used to curse him at dinner, called him a sellout, a ghost. I'm sorry, I said, gripping the cold chain-link fence. I don't understand. What estate? Your uncle passed 3 months ago. He left everything to you. Everything. That word hung in the air like smoke. Mr. Reed, I need you to come to my office today. There are conditions. I looked down at the papers in my hand. Jessica's signature, clean and final. The ink still smelled fresh. She'd filed 2 weeks ago, but the courier had just caught me this morning, right here, at this gate. The same gate I'd walked through every day for nearly a decade, believing that showing up, being steady, being present was enough. My wife just divorced me because I'm broke, I said, and I don't know why I told a stranger that. Maybe because it felt surreal, like the universe was playing some kind of joke. I'm aware of the timing, Miss Klein said, her voice careful. That's part of why I'm calling now. Your uncle was very specific about when you should learn about this. Something in her tone made my chest tight. How much are we talking about? I asked. $500 million. I didn't breathe. Couldn't. The factory whistle blew behind me, shift starting, and I stood there like a statue watching men file past me through the gate. Ray clapped my shoulder, asked if I was coming. I nodded, but didn't move. Mr. Reed, I'm here. There's a condition, Ms. Klein continued, a rule your uncle put in the trust. You cannot tell anyone about this inheritance for 5 years. Not your ex-wife, not your daughter, not a future partner, no one. If you break that rule, the entire estate goes to charity. I looked at the divorce papers again. Jessica's words from last week echoed in my head. I can't do poor anymore, Marcus. I'm done. She'd moved on fast. Some guy named Craig, a developer, penthouse downtown. She'd already taken Lily to see it. My daughter, 7 years old, standing in a glass tower while I lived in a 2-bedroom rental that smelled like the previous tenant's cigarettes. Why? I asked. Why the secrecy? Your uncle wanted to know who you really are, Ms. Klein said. He left your family because he thought money mattered more than people. He spent 20 years learning he was wrong. This is his way of making sure you don't make the same mistake. 5 years, Mr. Reed. Prove you're a man first. Then you can be a millionaire. I stood there, holding divorce papers and a phone. $500 million suddenly mine and absolutely useless. What if I fail? I whispered. Then you'll still have what your uncle never did, she said, your integrity. I hung up, folded the papers, put them in my back pocket next to the wedding ring I still carried for reasons I couldn't explain. Then I pulled on my gloves, walked through that gate, and clocked in for another day of welding steel. Because what else do you do when you have everything and nothing at the same time? The thing is, Jessica wasn't wrong. Not entirely. I need you to understand that. It's easy to paint her as the villain, the woman who left a good man for a bigger wallet. But the truth is messier than that. It usually is. We met when I was 26. She was a receptionist at the dental office where I went to fix a cracked molar from a bar fight I didn't start. She had this smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. We dated for 6 months, got married at City Hall because a big wedding felt wasteful. She wore a white dress from Target. I wore my only suit. For the first 3 years, we were happy, or maybe we were just too busy to notice we weren't. I worked second shift, 3 to midnight, so I could take Lily to daycare in the mornings. Jessica worked days. We'd pass each other like ships, leaving notes on the fridge. Milk's out. Love you. Doctor called. Lily's fine. Our marriage became a logistics operation, functional, efficient, lonely. The cracks started small. Marcus, the Hendersons bought a house. We were sitting on our sagging couch, the one we'd gotten from Goodwill. Lily was 3, asleep in the next room. Jessica was scrolling through Facebook, that blue light making her face look tired. Good for them, I said. They're our age. Okay. He's a manager at Best Buy. I looked at her. What are you saying? She set down her phone, turned to me. I'm saying we're still renting, Marcus. We're doing fine. Fine isn't enough. I didn't know what to say to that. My father's voice was in my head. Don't chase what you can't hold. He'd worked factory jobs his whole life, died at 52 from a heart that gave out in the parking lot. No savings, no legacy, just a widow and a son who learned that wanting more was dangerous. We have a roof, I said. We have food. We have each other. Jessica laughed, but there was no humor in it. You sound like a motivational poster. That hurt. I touched the wedding ring in my pocket, a habit I'd developed. Spin it between my fingers when I didn't know what else to do. What do you want me to say? I asked. I want you to want more. I want what matters. And I don't. The fight ended there. We went to bed, angry, woke up civil, repeated. But the real breaking point came a year later, Lily's 4th birthday. Jessica wanted to throw a party at one of those indoor playgrounds, the kind with trampolines and foam pits and a mascot that sings off-key. $200 for 2 hours. I looked at our account. We had $300 total. Rent was due in a week. We can't afford it, I said. Then make more money. I'm working 50-hour weeks, Jess. Then work smarter, not harder. I felt something snap inside me, not anger, resignation. My friends' husbands provide, she said, arms crossed. You just endure. I provide what matters, I said. Roof, food, time. Time doesn't buy Lily a future, Marcus. I didn't argue. Instead, I went to the garage and built Lily a wooden dollhouse. Took me 3 nights after my shifts. I sanded every edge smooth, painted it yellow, her favorite color, made tiny furniture out of scrap wood, a bed, a table, a rocking chair smaller than my thumb. Lily loved it, played with it every day for months. Jessica barely looked at it. You could have just bought her the Barbie dream house, she said. Target had it on sale. She likes this one. She's 4, Marcus. She'd like anything. But that wasn't true. Lily carried that dollhouse everywhere, named the invisible family that lived inside, told me stories about them at breakfast. The daddy works really hard, she'd say, but he always comes home. Jessica started spending more time on her phone, Instagram, Pinterest, photos of friends on vacation in Cancun, new cars, renovated kitchens. She'd show me pictures like evidence. Look what the Millers are doing. Good for them. Don't you want that for us? I want us to be us. That's not an answer, Marcus. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just afraid. My Uncle Theo had chased wealth and vanished. My father had chased stability and died exhausted. I didn't know which mistake to avoid, so I chose neither. I chose small, safe, present. I won't become a man who lies for money, I told her once, during another fight about overtime I wouldn't take. Management wanted me to skip inspections, rush welds to meet deadlines. Dangerous, illegal, well paid. No one's asking you to lie, Jessica said. I'm asking you to try. But in my head, trying meant compromising, and compromising meant becoming someone I didn't recognize. Looking back now, standing at that factory gate 5 years later with divorce papers and a secret fortune, I wonder if she was right. Maybe I wasn't principled. Maybe I was just scared. Scared of wanting. Scared of losing. Scared of becoming my uncle or my father or anyone other than the man who showed up every day and hoped that was enough. It wasn't. Jessica filed for divorce 3 months after Lily's 7th birthday. Said she'd met someone who could give her more. Not just money, hope, possibility, a future that didn't smell like burnt steel and regret. I didn't fight it, just signed where the lawyer pointed. Maybe she wasn't wrong. Maybe I was just afraid of wanting more. But here's what I knew for certain. I'd rather be poor and honest than rich and hollow, even if it cost me everything. The worst part wasn't signing the papers. It was the Tuesday after. Custody hearing took 15 minutes. Judge looked bored. Jessica's lawyer had a better suit than mine. 50-50, split, weekends with me, weekdays with her, holidays alternating, clinical, efficient, like dividing furniture. She'll adjust, the judge said, like Lily was a thermostat. I picked her up from school that Friday, first weekend of our new life. She had her backpack and a drawing she'd made in art class, crayon picture of a stick figure with a cape. Daddy, superhero, written across the top in crooked letters. Mommy says I get to see a fancy place today, Lily said, buckling into my truck. My stomach dropped. What fancy place? Her new friend's house, Craig. He has a pool on the roof. Jessica hadn't told me, just sent a text an hour earlier, picking Lily up at 5, taking her to Craig so she can see where we'll be staying sometimes. You can get her tomorrow. Not asking, telling. I texted back, that's my weekend. Her reply came fast. She needs to get comfortable with both homes. Don't make this difficult. I sat in my truck outside Lily's school, watching other parents pick up their kids, normal families doing normal things. My hands were shaking. I wanted to call my lawyer, fight it, drag Jessica back to court, but the retainer was already $2,000 I didn't have, and Lily was looking at me with those big eyes, holding her superhero drawing. Can we get ice cream, Daddy? Yes, sweetheart, we can get ice cream. We went to the shop on Carson Street. She got chocolate chip. I got nothing. Watched her eat and tried to memorize the moment. The way she kicked her feet under the table. The way she got ice cream on her nose and laughed. At 5 o'clock, Jessica pulled up in a car I didn't recognize. Silver. New. Probably Craig's. Lily ran to her. Mommy! Jessica hugged her, then looked at me over Lily's head. She was wearing a new coat. Designer. I could tell by the way it fit. I'll have her back tomorrow afternoon. Jessica said, this is my weekend. Marcus, don't. Don't what? Follow the custody agreement? She lowered her voice. I'm trying to make this easier for her. By taking her to some guy's penthouse? By showing her there's more to life than... She stopped, looked at my truck, my worn jacket. Then struggling. Lily was already climbing into the car, excited. Didn't see the knife her mother just stuck in me. Maybe one day you'll understand. Jessica said, Lily deserves better. Something in me went cold and clear. Better than a dad who shows up? I said quietly, every single day. Jessica didn't answer, just got in the car. I followed them. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help it. Stayed 3 cars back. Watched them drive downtown to one of those glass towers near the river, the kind with a doorman, valet parking, the kind I'd welded the beams for but never imagined I'd have a reason to enter. They pulled up. The valet took the keys, and I watched my daughter, my Lily, walk through those golden doors into a lobby that probably cost more than every place I'd ever lived combined. She looked so small. I sat in my truck across the street for 20 minutes, just watching that building, wondering which window was his, whether Lily was looking out, whether she was thinking about me at all. My phone buzzed. Text from Lily's number. Jessica must have let her use it. Daddy, there's a pool on the roof and a big TV. I stared at that message, at the excitement in those words, at what I couldn't give her. Then I drove home to my rental that smelled like someone else's cigarettes. Walked inside, saw that crayon drawing on the fridge. Daddy, yes, superhero, held up by a magnet shaped like a pizza slice. I touched it, traced the cape with my finger. Okay, I said to the empty kitchen, to myself, to God, or the universe, or whoever was listening. You want to know what kind of man I am? I'll show you. I'll prove you don't need money to be a good father. I'll prove that showing up matters, that character matters, that I matter. I didn't know about the inheritance yet. Didn't know that the very next morning, standing at that factory gate, everything would change and nothing would change at all. But I made a promise that night, and I've never broken a promise to my daughter, not once. Dorothy Klein's office smelled like old books and lemon polish, wood paneling, leather chairs, the kind of place that whispered money without shouting it. She was older than I expected, 60s maybe. Gray hair pulled back, sharp eyes that had seen every kind of human being and wasn't impressed by any of them anymore. Sit, Mr. Reed. I sat, still wearing my work clothes, steel-toe boots on her expensive carpet. I felt like a stain. She slid a folder across the desk, thick, official-looking. Your Uncle Theodore passed away 3 months ago in his home in Montana. Heart attack. Quick. He was alone, which is apparently how he wanted it. I didn't even know he was alive, I said. He knew you were. She opened the folder. He kept track. Every year, your graduation, your wedding, Lily's birth. He had a file. That felt invasive and sad at the same time. Why didn't he reach out? Shame, I think. Dorothy pulled out a document. Your uncle left your family when you were young, chased a business opportunity, steel manufacturing, made a fortune, but it cost him everyone he loved. Your father stopped speaking to him. Your grandmother died without forgiving him. Theodore spent 20 years getting rich and realizing he'd made the worst trade of his life. She pushed the document toward me, bold letters at the top, last will and testament. He left everything to you. $500 million. The business has been sold. Assets liquidated. It's sitting in a trust. I couldn't process that number. It was fake. Monopoly money. Why me? Because you're the only family member who chose to stay poor. That landed like a punch. Dorothy leaned back. Your cousins all went into finance, chasing their own fortunes. You became a welder. Theodore found that hopeful. So this is a reward for being broke? No. She pulled out another envelope, sealed, cream-colored paper. Expensive. This is a test. She slid it across, my name on the front in handwriting I didn't recognize. Before you open that, Dorothy said, I need to explain the conditions. Your uncle was very specific. You cannot tell anyone about this inheritance for 5 years. Not your ex-wife, not your daughter, not your friends, not a future partner, no one. Why? Open the letter. I broke the seal, unfolded the paper. His handwriting was careful, deliberate. Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm dead. And you're probably confused. 20 years ago, I left our family because I thought money mattered more than people. I was wrong. I built an empire, bought everything I wanted, and I ate dinner alone every single night for 2 decades. I watched you from a distance, watched you choose honest work, watched you marry young, watched you become a father. And I thought, maybe one person in our family learned what I didn't. So here's my final gift and my final lesson. You now have more money than you'll ever need. But you can't tell a soul for 5 years. Not one person. If you break this rule, everything goes to charity. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting you. I need to know you're a man first and a millionaire second. I need to know that the people in your life love you for who you are, not what you have. I need to know you won't make my mistake, using money to buy relationships that should be earned. 5 years, Marcus. Live like a man, not a millionaire. Prove that character matters more than cash. Prove that I was wrong to leave and you were right to stay. If you can do that, you'll have something I never did. Wealth and integrity. Your Uncle Theodore. I read it twice. My hands were shaking. If you tell anyone, Dorothy said, you lose it all. I looked up at her. So I watch my ex-wife flaunt her new boyfriend's money while you prove who you really are. For 5 years. Day one was yesterday, when you received the divorce papers. The timing hit me like cold water. The same day Jessica left me for being poor, I became worth $500 million. This is insane, I said. It's intentional. Dorothy folded her hands. Your uncle structured it this way for a reason. He wanted the test to be real, painful, meaningful. What if I fail? Define failure. What if I tell someone? Then you'll have proven your uncle right. That money corrupts. That secrecy is impossible. That you're just like everyone else. She paused. But you'll still have what he never did. Your integrity, your daughter, your self-respect. I stared at the letter, at his handwriting, at the words prove that I was wrong. Can I use any of it? Basic expenses, $3,000 a month stipend, deposited as contractor consulting fees for tax purposes. The rest stays locked. After 5 years, it's yours, no strings. $3,000 a month. More than I made welding, but nothing compared to what Craig probably spent on dinners. So I just keep working? Keep living like I'm broke? You keep living like yourself, Dorothy said. That's the point. I folded the letter, put it back in the envelope, looked at this woman who held my future in her hands. What would you do? I asked. She smiled, sad and knowing. I'd remember that your uncle spent 20 years learning what you already know. That money's the easy part. Being a man worth loving, that's the hard part. I stood, shook her hand. I'll do it, I said. Not for the money, for Lily. So she grows up knowing her dad kept his word. Then I'll see you in 5 years, Mr. Reed. I walked out of that office carrying a sealed envelope and a burden that weighed more than any steel beam I'd ever welded. 5 years. I could do 5 years. I'd done harder things on less. Year one was the hardest. Not because of the money, though watching Jessica's Instagram stories felt like swallowing glass. Craig's yacht, designer handbags, weekend trips to Napa, her captions were always the same. Finally living my best life. Never mentioned Lily, just the life she'd always wanted and I'd never given her. No, year one was hard because silence is heavier than you think. I'd be at the factory, grinding welds, and Ray would complain about his kid's hospital bill, $3,000 for an emergency room visit. His insurance covered half. He was drowning. Union brothers help each other, I told him one Friday, clocking out. That's all? 2 days later, the hospital called him. Bill paid in full. Anonymous donor. Ray found me in the break room. Man, how'd you pay my hospital bill? I looked him dead in the eye, lied for the first time in my life. Wasn't me. Maybe the union fund. He knew I was lying, but he hugged me anyway. You got a good heart, Marcus. I went home and stared at Dorothy's letter for an hour. Live like a man, not a millionaire. My uncle's words, his test. I'd passed day one, only 1,124 days left. I picked up overtime. Second shift turned into doubles. 50 hours became 60. Not because I needed the money, the stipend covered rent and food, but because staying busy meant not thinking, not wondering if Jessica was right. If Craig's penthouse was better for Lily than my 2-bedroom rental with the leaky faucet I kept meaning to fix. Lily noticed. Daddy, you're tired all the time. We were at the kitchen table. Saturday morning. She was 7 now, working on a coloring book. I was half asleep in my coffee. Just working hard, sweetheart. Mommy says you work too much. I looked up. What else does Mommy say? Lily went quiet, colored harder. That's when I knew Jessica was talking about me. Not directly, just enough to plant seeds. Hey, I reached across, touched her hand. What's wrong? Her voice was small. Daddy, are we poor? My heart cracked. Why would you ask that? Mommy said you can't give me nothing. Anything. I wanted to correct the grammar. Wanted to correct everything. Wanted to call Jessica and... I took a breath. Lily, look at me. She did. Those eyes. So much trust. We're rich where it counts, sweetheart. What counts? I thought about it. Time, love, showing up. Craig's got money, but I've got you. Every weekend, every holiday, every time you need me, that's what counts. She smiled, small but real. Okay, Daddy. But I could see the doubt, the way kids internalize things they don't understand yet. I made a decision right there. I'd show her. Not with words, with actions. Year 2, I started volunteering. Lily's school needed someone to help with the reading program Tuesday and Thursday mornings before my shift. I'd sit with first graders, sounding out words. The cat sat on the mat. Basic stuff. But those kids looked at me like I was handing them keys to the universe. Mrs. Patterson, the librarian, pulled me aside after a month. Mr. Reed, you're a natural. Just showing up, I said. That's more than most parents do. I thought about that, about showing up, about how the simplest things, being present, being consistent, were the things people remembered. Not the money, not the gifts, just you. Actually there. Lily started coming with me sometimes. She'd help the younger kids, read to them, and I'd watch her from across the room, this tiny human with too much heart, and think, this is what I'm protecting, this right here. One morning, year 2 winter, I was early to the factory. 6 a.m., dark outside, frost on the chain link fence. I was teaching Lily to read the clock on the gate. See that big hand when it's on the 12? That's when you go inside, she finished. Right, Daddy's always on time. Why? Because people count on me. When you say you'll be somewhere, you be there. She thought about that. Like you always pick me up on time? Exactly like that. Craig's late sometimes. I didn't say anything, just filed that away. Jessica's perfect life had cracks I couldn't see yet, but Lily could. We stood there together, breath fogging in the cold, and I realized this moment mattered more than any mansion, more than any yacht. Lily was learning what reliability looked like, what a man's word meant. The factory whistle blew. I gotta go, sweetheart. Grandma's picking you up. She hugged me. Bye, Daddy. Love you. Love you more. I walked through that gate like I did every day, but something felt different, lighter. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building something, a foundation, a life that didn't need money to matter. Year 3, I did something risky. Dorothy had said I could use the stipend for basic expenses. I pushed that definition, set up an anonymous scholarship fund, $50,000 a year, trade schools, welding, electrical, plumbing, kids who couldn't afford the programs but had the heart for the work. Is this allowed? I asked Dorothy on the phone. The stipend is yours to manage, she said carefully. As long as you're not revealing the source, you're within the terms. I wasn't revealing anything, just listed as anonymous donor through a local nonprofit. But every time I saw a kid get accepted, saw their face light up, saw their parents cry with relief, I understood what my uncle meant. Money wasn't the point. Purpose was. One of my students, a kid named DeMarco, got the scholarship, 18, single mom, worked nights at a gas station, applied to 3 programs, got rejected from all of them, no funds. Then he got the letter, full ride, tools included. He showed up to the factory one day, asked for me specifically. Mr. Reed, someone paid for my whole program. That's great, man. You earned it. Do you know who? I looked at him. This kid who reminded me of myself at 18, hungry, honest, willing to work. Does it matter? I asked. He thought about it. No. I just want to say thank you. Then say it by showing up every day, by doing good work, by helping the next guy who needs it. He nodded, shook my hand. Yes, sir. I watched him leave and felt something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Pride, not in the money, in the choice, in using what I had, even secretly, to build something that mattered. But late at night, alone in my rental, I'd look at my phone. At Jessica's latest post, Craig proposing on a beach in the Bahamas, her hand with a ring that could have paid off my truck, her caption, "Dreams really do come true." And I'd think, I could end this right now. Tell her, show her, watch her face when she realizes what she walked away from. But then I'd look at Lily's drawing on the fridge. Daddy, superhero. And I'd remember my uncle's letter, prove that character matters more than cash. 3 years down, 2 to go. My work gloves were worn nearly through, fabric thin at the palms. Ray kept telling me to get new ones, but I didn't. They were a reminder of where I came from, of what I'd chosen, of who I was when nobody was watching. And that person, he didn't need Jessica to know he was rich. He just needed Lily to know he was real. Year 4, Jessica stopped posting. I noticed because Lily mentioned it. We were driving to the zoo her weekend with me, and she was scrolling through her mom's Instagram on Jessica's old phone. Mommy hasn't put up pictures in forever. Maybe she's just busy, sweetheart. But I'd noticed too. The yacht photos had stopped, the designer bags, the beach sunsets. Her last post was 3 months old, a forced smile at some charity gala. Craig's hand on her shoulder, possessive. The caption, blessed. One word, nothing else. The cracks showed up in small ways first. Jessica started texting me more. Not about Lily's schedule, we had that down to a science, just questions. Does Lily seem okay to you? Is she eating enough at your place? Did she say anything about me? I kept my answers short, professional. We weren't friends. We were co-parents. That's all we'd ever be. But one Sunday, dropping Lily off, Jessica lingered at the door. Do you ever... She stopped, started again. Do you ever miss us? I looked at her. Really looked. She'd lost weight. Not the healthy kind. The stress kind. Dark circles under makeup that didn't quite hide them. Her designer coat hung loose. I miss who we could have been, I said. That was the truth. I didn't miss her. I missed the dream. The family we'd almost made. The life that could have worked if we'd wanted the same things. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Yeah, me too. Then Craig's voice from inside the penthouse, sharp. Jessica, now. She flinched, actually flinched. I have to go, she said and closed the door. I stood there for a minute, trying to process what I'd just seen. 2 weeks later, another custody exchange. Lily ran inside. Jessica handed me Lily's backpack, her sleeve pulled up for a second, bruise on her wrist, finger-shaped, fresh. Our eyes met. It's nothing, she said quickly, pulled the sleeve down. I'm clumsy. Jess, don't, Marcus, please. She walked back inside before I could say anything else. I sat in my truck, gripping the steering wheel. Every instinct screamed at me to go back, to ask, to do something. But what? She wasn't my wife anymore. She'd made that clear. And if I pushed, if I made it a thing, she'd just pull Lily further away. Use it against me in court. Say I was harassing her. I texted instead, if you need help, I'm here. She never responded. That night, I opened my dresser drawer, found the wedding ring I'd been carrying in my pocket for 4 years, spun it between my fingers one last time. This ring used to mean forever. Now it just meant pain. Holding on to it wasn't loyalty, it was self-punishment. I put it in a small box, put the box in the back of the drawer, under old t-shirts and tax documents, somewhere I wouldn't see it every day. Letting go felt like betrayal and relief at the same time. Jessica called less after that. When she did, her voice was flat, tired. Lily needs new shoes. I'll get them. Craig says I should ask you to pay half. That was new. Craig deciding how we split expenses. Craig inserting himself into conversations he had no business being in. I'll get the shoes, I repeated. Silence, then quietly. Thank you. She hung up. I stared at my phone. At this woman I used to love. At the mess her best life had become. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, to think, see, money doesn't fix everything. I was right all along. But mostly I just felt sad. Because somewhere beneath the Instagram filters and the penthouse address and the controlling boyfriend, Jessica was drowning. And I was the one person who could have thrown her a rope, but she'd have to ask first, and I knew she wouldn't. Pride is a hell of a prison. I'd learned that from my uncle. Jessica was learning it from Craig. I met Sarah Chen at the fall festival. Lily's school, year 4.5, I was volunteering at the face painting booth because Mrs. Patterson had asked, and I never said no to Mrs. Patterson. Sarah was running the book fair table. Preschool teacher, late 20s, ponytail, wore a cardigan with a coffee stain on the sleeve and didn't seem to care. Lily dragged me over during my break. "Daddy, look, they have the dragon book." Sarah smiled at her, the kind of smile that reached her eyes. "You have excellent taste. That's my favorite too. Can I get it, Daddy?" I checked the price. $12. I had 15 in my wallet. "Yeah, sweetheart, we can get it." Sarah rang it up. Our hands touched when she gave me the change. Brief, electric. "Your daughter's in my reading group," she said. "Lily, right?" "That's her. She talks about you a lot." Sarah's smile turned knowing. "Apparently you're a superhero." I laughed. "She's biased. Or she's paying attention." That stopped me. The way she said it, like she saw something I didn't. We ran into each other the next Tuesday. I was helping with the reading program. She was setting up her classroom. We ended up talking in the hallway for 20 minutes. Books, kids, teaching. She mentioned volunteering at the food bank on weekends. "You work, volunteer at school, and volunteer at a food bank?" She shrugged. "I'm single, no kids, might as well be useful." "That's more than most people do." "So showing up every week to read with first graders." We looked at each other. A moment. Then Lily called from the classroom and the moment broke. But it didn't end. Coffee became a thing. Wednesday mornings before my shift. The diner on Carson Street. Nothing fancy. Just two people talking. About books, about Lily, about work. Never about money. Never about past that hurt too much to revisit. One morning, 6 weeks in, she asked the question, "Marcus, are you seeing anyone?" "No." "Why not?" I stirred my coffee. Complicated. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I got right now." She watched me, patient, the way good teachers wait for students to find their own words. "I'm not hiding a wife or something," I said. "It's just I have obligations. Things I can't talk about yet, but soon." "How soon?" 7 months. She processed that. "That's specific." "It has to be." Sarah set down her cup. "If you're doing something illegal..." "I'm not. I swear. I just made a promise, and I can't break it." "To who?" "Someone who wanted to know what kind of man I am." She studied my face, looking for lies, for red flags, for reasons to walk away. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay. I trust you, but Marcus, if you're hiding something that'll hurt people, I need to know." "It won't. It's just complicated and temporary." She reached across the table, took my hand. Then I'll wait 7 months." Something in my chest unlocked. We didn't date. Not officially. Just spent time together. Picnics at the park, hikes on the trails outside the city, story time at the library with Lily. Sarah never asked why we didn't go to restaurants, why I didn't buy her flowers or jewelry, or any of the things Craig probably bought Jessica. She just showed up. Week after week, real and present and there. One Saturday, she came over to my rental, brought books for Lily, found green eggs and ham in the pile. "I loved this one as a kid," Sarah said. "Read it to me." Lily bounced on the couch, and Sarah did, voices and everything. Sam I Am got a squeaky voice. The grumpy guy got a deep grumble. Lily laughed so hard she nearly fell off the cushions. I watched from the kitchen doorway, this woman who barely knew us, giving my daughter something I couldn't. Lightness. Joy. A different kind of love than mine. Sarah looked up, caught me staring. "What?" she asked, smiling. "Nothing," I said, but that wasn't true. What I was thinking, this is wealth. Right here, this moment. Later that night, after Sarah left, Lily brought me her drawing. The Daddy Alker superhero one, except she'd added someone new. A stick figure woman with a ponytail. "Who's that?" I asked, even though I knew. "Miss Sarah, she's part of our team now." She'd drawn us all holding hands. I put it back on the fridge, stared at it for a long time. I thought I'd been waiting for permission to be happy, for the 5 years to end, for the test to be over, for proof that I'd earned something good. Turns out I was just scared I didn't deserve it. But Sarah didn't care about deserving. She cared about showing up, about being real, about choosing people who chose her back. "Lily talks about you like you hung the moon," she'd said once, and I'd replied, "I just show up. That's all I got." Sarah had smiled, touched my face. "That's everything, Marcus." 7 months left. Then I could tell her everything, and maybe, just maybe, she'd still choose me. Not the money, not the fortune, just me, the welder, the father, the man who kept his promises. That was enough. It had to be. 4.5 years in, something shifted. The scholarship fund I'd started, the anonymous one, $50,000 a year for trade schools, it got noticed. Local news ran a story. Mystery donor changes lives for Pittsburgh youth. They interviewed DeMarco, the kid I'd helped. He was in his 2nd year now, top of his welding class. "Someone believed in me when nobody else did," he told the camera. "I don't know who they are, but I'm going to pay it forward, help the next person who needs it." The reporter, some guy named Tom Hendricks, started digging, called the nonprofit that handled the fund, called the trade schools. Someone gave him my name as a reference since I taught part-time at the program now. He showed up at Riverside Steel on a Thursday, camera crew, microphone. "Mr. Reed, we're investigating the anonymous scholarship fund. Any idea who's behind it?" I was standing at the factory gate, end of shift. My work gloves were barely holding together anymore, fabric worn through at the thumbs, duct tape holding the seams. "No idea," I lied. The 3rd time I'd lied in 5 years. It still felt wrong. Rumor is it might be someone local, someone who understands the trade. "Whoever it is," I said, looking straight at the camera, "they probably just got lucky, and they're doing what anyone should do, helping people up." Tom studied me. I could see him calculating, wondering. "If you were that person," he pressed, "what would you want people to know?" I thought about my uncle's letter, about 5 years of silence, about the test that was almost over. I'd want them to know that money's easy to give. Showing up is harder. Time, attention, teaching someone a skill that'll feed their family. That's the real gift. Tom nodded slowly. "That's a good answer. It's the only answer." He left, but I knew he'd be back. Inside, Ray found me in the locker room. "Marcus, you hear the news?" "What news?" "Henderson's retiring. They're promoting from within. Welding instructor position, full-time." My heart kicked. "Yeah?" "Shop foreman asked about you. Said you're the best teacher we got." 2 weeks later, I had the job. More money. Not that I needed it, but the title mattered. The respect. The chance to shape young welders the way I'd been shaped. My first class won the state competition. Technical skills division, beat teams from Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Philadelphia. Kids I'd taught, kids who'd learned that precision matters, that craftsmanship matters, that showing up every day and doing good work is its own reward. The local paper ran another story, photo of me with the team. "Riverside Steel instructor leads, students to victory." I cut out the article, put it in Lily's memory box, proof that her dad wasn't just surviving anymore, he was building something. Dorothy called on a Tuesday morning, 6 weeks before the deadline. "Marcus, 1 month left, then you're free." I was sitting in my truck outside the factory. The words hit different than I expected. Free. 5 years, almost over. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Scared." "Of what?" "That it'll change me, that I'll become someone else." She laughed, gentle, knowing. Marcus, you already passed the test. The money's just confirmation. What if Sarah, if she loves you now, she'll love you after. And if she doesn't, you'll know she wasn't the right one. I hung up, stared at the factory gate, the clock Lily had learned to read, the place I'd walked through every day for nearly 5 years, carrying a secret that could have destroyed me. 1 month, then the truth. That night, Jessica texted, first time in weeks. Saw the article about the scholarship fund, anonymous donor. That sounds like something you'd do. My blood went cold. I didn't respond, just deleted the message. But the damage was done. She was suspicious. And if she started asking questions, started digging, I pulled out my work gloves, the ones that had seen 5 years of labor, 5 years of proving who I was. The next day, I donated them to the trade school, put them in a display case with a note, worn by someone who believed in you. Now it's your turn. No name, just the gloves. Because in 30 days, I wouldn't need them anymore. The test would be over, and I'd finally know if I'd passed. Day 1826. I woke up before my alarm, 5 years to the day. The number sat in my chest like a stone and a feather at the same time, heavy and light, done and beginning. Dorothy had scheduled a meeting for 6 p.m. Bring identification, she'd said. We'll transfer everything into your name. Everything, $500 million, mine, finally mine. I felt nothing, or everything. I couldn't tell which. Morning started normal. Coffee, dropped Lily at school, drove to the factory, but when I opened my glove box to grab my thermos, I saw it. Bank statement, the one Dorothy had been sending quarterly. I'd never opened them, just filed them away. But this one had torn at the corner, the numbers visible through the rip. Account balance, $537, $492, $847.62. The investments had grown. Compound interest over 5 years. $500 million had become more. I shoved it back in the glove box, slammed it shut, and that's when I saw Sarah's car pull up behind me. She was early. We'd planned coffee after my shift, but she was here now, knocking on my window, smiling. I rolled it down. Hey, I know I'm early, but I brought donuts and... She stopped, looked at my face. What's wrong? Nothing. Marcus. That's when I realized the glove box had bounced back open. The statement was right there, numbers face up, impossible to miss. Sarah's eyes went to it, then to me, then back to the numbers. Is that... She couldn't finish. Sarah, $500 million? The world tilted. I can explain. Were you going to tell me? Her voice wasn't angry, worse, hurt. Tonight, I swear. After I meet with the lawyer, it's been exactly 5 years. Today. That's why... 5 years? She stepped back. You've had this for 5 years? There were rules. I couldn't tell anyone. Not even you. Especially not you. Why especially not me? And there it was. The thing I'd been terrified of for 7 months. Because I needed to know you loved me. I said quietly. Not the money, just me. She stared at me, processing. Her hands were shaking. Did you think I'd leave if I knew? I needed to know you'd stay if you didn't. Tears in her eyes now. That's not fair, Marcus. I know. We'll talk tonight, she said. After you're done, we'll figure this out. She walked back to her car, drove away, and I sat there, $500 million richer and feeling poorer than I'd ever been. I never made it into the factory, because that's when I saw her, Jessica, standing at the gate, our gate, the one I'd walked through every day for 5 years, the one I'd taught Lily to read time on, the symbol of every promise I'd kept. She looked terrible, thinner, clothes still expensive but wrinkled, mascara smudged like she'd been crying. Marcus, I got out of my truck. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you. Behind her, I saw Tom Hendricks, the reporter, camera crew. They were filming something nearby, probably a follow-up on the scholarship story. Perfect. An audience for whatever this was. Lily's at school, I said. If you need to change the schedule, it's not about Lily. Her voice cracked. It's about me. I waited. Craig's gone, left me, took everything. The penthouse was his, the car, everything. I'm being evicted. I have nothing. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. The bigger part just felt sad. I'm sorry, I said, and don't. She stepped closer. Don't be sorry. I was wrong about everything. You were a good man. You are a good man, and I threw it away because I wanted more, I finished. I wanted things. You wanted us, and I was too stupid to see the difference. The reporter was getting closer, sensing drama. Jessica, why are you here? Because I need help. The words came out broken. I know I don't deserve it, but for Lily, please, just enough to get on my feet. I could have said no, could have walked away, could have let the reporter capture her humiliation and mine together, could have exposed everything, shown her the bank statement, told her about the inheritance, let her know exactly what she'd walked away from. But I looked at her, really looked, and saw what I'd suspected for a year, bruises fading on her arms, weight loss that wasn't healthy, fear in her eyes that wasn't about money. She'd been trapped, and now she was drowning. Wait here, I said. I went to my truck, pulled out my phone, transferred $50,000 from the stipend account to a new account, wrote down the details, came back. This is for Lily's stability, I said, handing her the paper. Not us. You made your choice. I made mine. Jessica stared at the numbers. Marcus, this is enough to start over. Get an apartment, get help, be the mom Lily deserves. Why would you? Because holding grudges is easy. Being a good man is harder. That's when I heard it. Daddy? My blood went cold. Lily, she'd been in my truck the whole time. Back seat, I'd forgotten. She'd fallen asleep on the drive, must have woken up when Sarah knocked. She'd heard everything. She climbed out, walked to me, took my hand, and looked at her mother. Mommy, you hurt Daddy. Jessica's face crumbled. I want to stay with him, Lily said, small voice, certain. Lily, sweetheart. Jessica reached out. You said he was poor. You said he couldn't give me nothing. Lily's hand tightened in mine. But Daddy gives me everything. I picked up my daughter, held her close. Jessica was crying now, full sobs. The reporter had stopped filming. Even he knew this was too raw. I reached into my pocket, found the wedding ring I'd moved from the drawer to carry one last time, set it on the fence post between us. Goodbye, Jessica. I carried Lily to my truck. We drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Jessica standing at that gate, alone, the ring glinting in the morning sun, and I closed the distance between who I was and who I'd become. The test was over. I'd passed. Not because I had money, because I'd chosen to be a man worth more than it. That night, Sarah came over. We sat on my couch, Lily asleep in her room, the silence heavy between us. I'm angry, Sarah said. I know. You should have told me. I couldn't. The rule. I don't care about the rule, Marcus. I care that you didn't trust me. I needed to know you loved me for me. She turned, looked at me with those teacher eyes, patient, seeing everything. And now you know? Now I know. So what happens next? I pulled out my uncle's letter, the one I'd read 1,000 times, handed it to her. She read it slowly. When she finished, her eyes were wet. He was testing you. Yeah. And you passed. I hope so. She folded the letter, handed it back. I'm still angry. Okay, but I understand. She kissed me, soft, real, choosing me again, not the money, not the fortune, just me, the welder, the father, the man who kept his word. And that was worth more than $500 million ever could be. 6 months later, I stood at the factory gate one last time. I'd quit, fulfilled my uncle's test. The money was mine. The foundation was launched. Theodore's legacy fund, scholarships, trade programs, single parents getting a second chance. The work my uncle should have done while he was alive. But I wasn't there to celebrate. I was there to remember this gate, this threshold. where the test began and ended, where I'd learned that character is the only wealth that actually matters. Daddy, why are we here? Lily, 8 now, holding Sarah's hand, Sarah wearing the simple ring I'd bought her, nothing fancy, just real. We were getting married in the fall. I wanted to show you something, I said. I knelt down, eye level. You know why Grandpa Theo left me the money? Because you're a good daddy, I smiled, because I didn't need it to be one. She thought about that, then pulled a drawing from her backpack, new one, 3 stick figures holding hands, me, her, Sarah, labeled my family. Miss Sarah says family isn't about stuff, it's about showing up. Miss Sarah's a smart lady. Are we rich now, Daddy? I looked at this child, at the woman I loved, at the life we'd built before the money and would keep building after. We always were, sweetheart. I just didn't have the money yet. We walked away from that gate together towards something new, something earned. People ask if I'm rich now. I tell them I always was. The money didn't change me. It proved what was already there. My ex wanted a man who could afford her dreams. I became a man who could afford his values. Turns out that's the only fortune worth having. Jessica's rebuilding her life. We co-parent with respect. No romance, just 2 people doing right by their daughter. And me? I'm just a welder who kept his word. 5 years of silence taught me something my uncle spent 20 years learning. Money's the easy part. Being a man worth loving? That's the real work. Here's my question for you. If you had to choose between proving you were right or protecting your child's peace, what would you do? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this story meant something to you, if it made you think about what really matters, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the only wealth that grows when you give it away is the kind that actually matters. Thanks for listening.